have the podium to start your debate. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, according to the Longman Contemporary Edition, it explains standardized tests as a situation which intends to bring out the quality out of students. Mr. Chairman, due to the numerous advantages of standardized tests, a lot of people and a lot of countries have involved themselves in using standardized tests to assess their students. Mr. Chairman, standardized test is objectivity and proof. My co-debaters, I put it to you and to the House. If I set different questions for you during an examination, or to assess you differently during an examination, would you like it? No, because you would say I am not being fair, and I am being a biased judge, because I looked at your appearance to judge you, and not being giving you a standardized test to write, right? And I know that during an examination, if I give the whole House a different test to assess you, your capabilities and your performance, you would say, this one's exams was more difficult than this. This one's exams was more difficult than this. That's why the GES has adopted a standardized way of assessing students. This way, no one is being given a higher test to write, and no one is being given a lesser test to write. All students are being given equal opportunities to express themselves during the examination. Mr. Chairman, as Newton's law of motion says, to every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. Mr. Chairman, as students are aware that they will write standardized tests at the end of their exams, students will put in their all, and they will do their best to come out of the exams with flying colors. Since it is the hallmark of every student to come out of his or exams with flying colors, and I know that each and everyone here would like to pass his or exams with distinct. Mr. Chairman, standardized test ensures comparability across institutions. Mr. Chairman, standardized test enables comparisons of students' performance across different countries. The Chair, standardized tests help data-driven. Let me ask you. Let me ask you. How would a GES be able to assess the performance of students without standardized tests? And how would they be able to formulate or drive their statistics without formulating or without using a standardized test? When they don't use a standardized test, would they be able to drive a quality data and acceptable data for it to be used by policymakers to drive their conclusions? No. That's why the standardized test is necessary for each and everyone here to be used to drive a quality and a data-driven. In conclusion, I hope it is an undeniable fact that standardized tests are harmful, and standardized tests help students to perform well in their exams. The whole House bear me out that when there is an examination, my charge, when there is an examination and I'm being given a lesser task to perform, you would say I was being given a lesser task to perform, right? So it is an undeniable fact that standardized test is necessary for evaluating student performance. I arrest my case. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You have to take a submission from the principal speaker.
Some key words from the motion. According to the Oxford Dictionary, standardized test refers to a group of questions given to students to answer from a common pool. Examples of these tests are WASI, BEC, Basic Education Certificate Examination, end of term, director's test, which we'll even be writing next week. Mr.
said, education is what remains after one has forgotten what he has learned in school. But do standardized tests truly capture the essence of education? Mr. Chairman, proponents of standardized tests may argue that they provide a fair and objective measure of students' knowledge and skills. This is simply not true due to the fact that standardized tests only measures a limited scope of knowledge and skills. A standardized test can access all that a student had been taught within a period of time. This may even result into examination malpractice based on standardized tests, erroneous and non-reliable tests. So according to Dan Ravitch, an educational historian, standardized testing is a corruption of the learning process. Mr. Chairman, it is well known that standardized tests are a source of significant stress and anxiety. This high-stake natures of these tests can lead to feelings of nervousness and fear. Research has shown that chronic stress can have serious consequences on mental health, including increased rates of depression, anxiety, disorders, and suicidal thoughts. A study in England found that examination stress was a contributing factor in 130 cases of teenage suicide. 27% of the victims had experienced exam stress or other academic pressures. Mr. Chairman, standardized tests can never be used to conclude on an individual's performance because standardized tests prioritize memorization and it kills creativity and critical thinking, as Randy Wingarton said, and I quote, "The emphasis on standardized testing has led to a narrowing of the curriculum, a lack of creativity, and a focus of rote memorization. Students are forced to memorize what they have been taught and therefore engage in cheap and poor practices." Isn't it true? Just to enable them to excel in examination instead of applying stuff taught in real life. So, Mr. Chairman, aside all the points discussed above, standardized tests can be biased and culturally sensitive, and therefore cannot be used to make conclusions on a student's performance. Standardized tests may contain biases in the test questions and scoring system, which can disadvantage certain groups of people. It can also be biased towards students from affluent backgrounds. So students from richer or wealthier families get greater access to preparation resources, tutors, and other forms of support that can help them perform better, while students from poor backgrounds may have less advantage in preparing well for such tests. So, Mr. Chairman, panel of judges, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, students, it is now clear to all gathered here that standardized tests only measures a limited scope of knowledge, brings about stress and anxiety, prioritize memorization over critical thinking, and finally, it is biased and therefore cannot be used as a yardstick to measure students' performance.
That's right.
The chair, as already said, I am Joseph Ade Akumia and a proud member of our student. Undeniably, whatever my co-debater here said can be considered half true. Yeah, sure. Let me deal with her in the way I want. The chair, my opponent raised the point that standardized test causes anxiety and examination trauma. Rightly said, let's not forget about what Ellen Johnson Sirleaf said, that leadership is not given on a silver platter. One has to earn it, right? I'm not here to say what she said is a lie, but let me say something here. We all know very well that we can't get whatever we want easily. Nothing is gotten on the silver platter here on earth. You are here because of something. We are all here because of something. And she said it causes examination trauma. I don't know anyone who has ever died out of trauma because he or she's going to write a little man's paper. I've not seen one. I'm yet to see one. And I don't think you died because you saw your English exam paper. You've never collapsed behind your exam paper and you are telling me it causes examination trauma. Dear debater. Okay. And also, my opponent raised the point that standardized test doesn't encourage creativity and critical thinking. It will interest you to know, my invited guest, that standardized tests help identify areas where students need extra support, as Chester Payne rightly said. Doctors, but I don't think you can ever be a medical practitioner if you don't have the view and the value to be. How can I be given a syringe to inject a human made wonderfully, and do you think you will allow me or any of our panel judges here to take a syringe into your body when you know they've not written a standardized test as doctors? Would you? Would you? You wouldn't. So I bet none of my co-debaters here would ever allow someone who is in basic one, who is not a teacher, stand before them and teach them geography. So what are you telling me? That teacher wrote a standardized test to get his license. So I don't agree with my opponent if he or she sits and tell us that standardized test causes a lot of trauma. They doesn't. So please, just like you will not let a teacher give you injection and you will not let a basic one student teach you geography, you should allow your standardized test to work out. Thank you.
Thank you very much, judges. I'm Franklin Dante Jr., a proud representative of House 4. And I would like to ask my opponents, what do you mean fairness? During this entire debate, I couldn't get it clear into my mind what you were trying to mean by fairness. So I would like to explain that clearly for us. Now, cheating. You said the tests are accurate. The tests are not accurate. In the 2024 WASI examination, students brought AI on their wristwatches, mobile phones into the examination hall to answer questions. Honorable debater, you are to ask questions. So I'd like to know what is accurate about these tests and what you definitely mean by what is fairness. We do not understand it. So if you could explain that to us, to be right. Good. Okay, thank you.
The chair in the house, I stand to be corrected. My co-debater made an utterance which I never made. You were talking about critical thinking, and I was talking about application. So we aren't on the same bench. And to you, my co-debater, you are asking what makes it fair. Okay. So we are all writing on exams which we are all being invigilated on the same standard, the same circumstance, the same questions. Just like my co-debater Isaac said, he said someone from the north in a village who has never seen a computer is writing a test on exams on computer. We have teachers who sacrifice their own lot to draw computers and other stuff on the board for people to know what it is. People who you think have never seen a computer knows more about the computer than you think you know. People know it more than you think you know, but did not see it before. And being fair here is not all about the circumstance around you studying. It's about you people having the same standard at the examination hall. That's what we are talking about here. And you were talking about cheating. I don't think any student here can ever bring anything or any malpractice material into the examination hall when the question is an application question. When the question is an application question, how do you send a malpractice paper over there? How do you send a PO to an examination hall when the question is an application question? When the question is an application question, how do you answer it with an apple? How do you do that? there is a difference between critical thinking and application. There are questions that go straight forward, and there are questions that you need to apply all instances. So I don't think what you are saying holds. You can never enter an examination hall where an application question can be cut with an apple, please.
Yes, you have exhausted the time. Thank you very much.
The chair, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols duly observed. I am Enifo Isaac Jr., the second supporting speaker of House 4 performance. The chair, in my opponent's definition of standardized test, he said something like standardized test brings out quality in students. May I ask, is it quality in stealing? Because I know some people steal to pass their exams. So what kind of quality are you talking about? Second, they talked about fairness. They talked about fairness. I want to give an example. There are children in rural areas who are learning information technology. Some of them have not seen a computer before. I live in Accra. I saw a computer for the first time when I was 6. If I write an ICT exam, the same exam with that person, is it being fair? You don't know what you are talking about. Second, they are saying that standardized tests allow you to provide accurate data, right? So if I cheat and I pass an exam, how is the data accurate? The chair, since my opponents here do not have points that are solid enough to merit a proper review, allow me to support the point of my principal speaker with the following. My first quote, which is a quote from Fernand Wari, a French educator and pedagogue. For the sake of my friends in the audience who might not know what a pedagogue is a teacher or educator who specializes in the practice of education, particularly in the development of children. Fernand Wari said, and I quote, "Les tests sont une manière de contrôler les élèves, mais pas de les aider à apprendre." Which tests are a way to control students, but not to help them learn. And another quote from Pierre Bourdieu, a famous French sociologist and philosopher, who said, "Les tests sont une manière de mesurer la mémoire, mais pas l'intelligence." Which means tests are a way to measure memory, but not intelligence. And my third quote, which is a Latin quote, which states, and I quote, "Decimus non propter examina sed propter vita," which means we learn not to test, but for life. My fourth and final quote, which is a Chinese quote, states, and I quote, "Young tree she shall do that way," which directly translated to English means under the light, under the eyes, there's a deep sea. This means there's more to a person's ability than what is revealed by a test. All these quotes highlight the concept and criticism surrounding the use of tests in education and emphasize the importance of promoting creativity and critical thinking and self-confidence in students. The chairperson, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to end my speech with a popular saying, "The voice of the people is the voice of the Lord." I can guarantee most students, including my opponents here, are not big fans of tests and examinations. And even if they got next week's test crowd, they will not write. This proves that standardized tests are not necessary for evaluating the performance of students. The chair, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I hope my above stated points are here to convince but not to confuse you. Thank you.
All right. You've all done very well. At this point, we would like to take some cross-examination. So if you have any questions for your opponent,
Hold the meters. Accurate time. That's what I would like to know. Was he refuting my point or just quoting? And perhaps I have a lot of questions here. During our principal speaker's speech, she said something like standardized test is going to cause the affluent student to have victory or something. I bet you said something like that. You spoke about affluent people. Okay. Are we not having affluent people in our mess? When you say someone is from an affluent home, someone from a rich home, we have people from rich families here. Despite kids are going to school for crying out loud, but they are affluent.
Honorable debater, we ask you to ask questions.
Yes.
So ask them questions that they can answer.
Bright SHS TV, your educational channel.